thanks to social media. Many of you know her as Girl Gone Blind, and I'd like you to meet Maria Johnson.
Yes, I am the girl from the Girl Gone Blind blog. I am also a wife, a mother of 2 great kids, a daughter, sister, friend, fitness instructor, and I'm affected by LHON. Last April 2013, I was a mom on the go, teaching tons of classes every week, taking care of business, just doing it all, taking care of my family. And I noticed a small blurry spot in my right eye. Well, like many moms, we're busy. We can't be bothered with what's going on with ourselves, so we ignore stuff. And I ignored it for about a month, and then it just wasn't going away. So I made an appointment with my optometrist, and he examined my eyes and couldn't find anything wrong. So I got referred to ophthalmology. I got to the ophthalmologist, and he ran the usual tests, including that super fun visual field. And everything came back normal and negative. But that visual field test showed I was losing central vision in my right eye. Well, then he ordered an MRI of my brain. And like many of you, they think you have a brain tumor or something else going on to cause your vision loss. Well, luckily that came back normal, and we were still sitting there wondering, why was a 50-year-old woman losing her vision? I have no family history. No one else in my family has gone blind. So that's when I was referred to my neuro-ophthalmologist, Dr. Ken Kubis in San Diego. And when I went to see him on September 2nd, he did the exam, looked at my chart, looked in my eyes, and he could see there was something going on with my optic nerves. I was down to counting fingers on my right eye, and a small blurry spot had started in my left. So he knew he had to take action really, really quick, because I was losing my vision and we didn't know why. So I went through more and more tests, more MRIs, a spinal tap, and it seemed like hundreds of blood tests. One of those blood tests was for a rare genetic condition that causes blindness. And I don't have to tell you which one that was. And the tests started coming back. Normal, negative, within range. Nothing was showing up. Why was a healthy 50-year-old woman losing vision still? Well, I got a call one night at home on September 24th from my doctor, and my genetic test had come back, and it tested positive for LHON. I was 50 years old, I was a woman, I was way out of the range of who normally got affected. So he was shocked, I was shocked, and we had no idea what we were actually getting into. He told me to go ahead and start looking it up on the internet, and he didn't want to overwhelm me, and we could talk later. So that's what we did. We found the LHON.org website and the LHON Facebook page. We noticed on that Facebook page there was a woman that was posting a lot about LHON, and she seemed to know quite a bit. And she lived in San Diego. And hey, that's where we live. And I knew I had to reach out to Lissa. So I immediately did and said, I had just been diagnosed. I live in San Diego. We need to talk. And we did. And Lissa told me lots and lots and lots of things about LHON, and I took pages and pages and pages of notes, because I could still see when I could write the notes at that time. And as we finished our conversation, I remember her saying, Maria, you're gonna need some time to get your head wrapped around this, and I have a feeling we'll be talking in the future. Well, I took those notes and I shoved them to the side and thought, okay, that's great. And I'll kind of get to that stuff because I'm a busy mom and I got this. This is not going to be a big deal. I got everything else under control, and I'm going to still drive, and it's going to stay just like this, and I can still see pretty good, and I got this. Well, as the weeks and days went by, I did not have this, and my vision became progressively worse. And on November 8th, at a doctor's appointment, I was deemed legally blind. And I remember sitting in that chair, in tears, saying, how could I be blind? How could this happen to me? I cannot believe I'm blind. Well, as I said, I was a mom on the go. I was teaching fitness classes every day of the week, taking care of everything, and now I had just celebrated my 50th birthday, and my world was falling apart. I couldn't take my kids or pick them up from school. I couldn't take them to their appointments or their activities or drop them off at a friend's house. I couldn't just run to the store to pick up a couple of things, hit Target, and then hit Starbucks and come home. I was teaching fitness classes 5 days a week. How was I going to get to the gym to teach my classes? This was so overwhelming to me because those were the mom things that I did, or the things that I still did for my job, my career as a fitness instructor. Cooking, cleaning, laundry, that just got difficult. Cooking, I was never a good cook. And now I am really bad. And I tell you, ingredients and food just disappears on the countertop, and things that are cooking on the stove, I can't tell if they're raw or if they're cooked, and the appliances just got hard to manage. Things just got difficult. Things took twice as long, 3 times, 5 times as long to do. And I would get frustrated very, very quickly. And that wasn't pretty, because blind girl tizzy fits, not pretty. So I was thinking about the one thing I really wanted to keep doing, and that was teach fitness classes. I had to tell my fitness members, my gym, you know, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to teach these classes because I can't get to the gym on my own anymore. And they rallied around me and said, we will not be having any of that. We are going to get you to class. And I now have students pick me up and take me home after every class I teach. So I am still able to teach group fitness to this day. When you lose your vision at any age, it brings on a whole bunch of mental issues, and I have my share. One of the things I thought I could do to help myself was to maybe start writing about it, a blog. I thought it would be fun and therapeutic for me to share my feelings and my blind girl experiences, you know, good, bad, ugly, funny, all that stuff, with the world, and maybe 1 or 2 people might read it. Well, last January, I launched my blog, Girl Gone Blind, and it has been a great success. It's been shared all over the world, and I've received emails and comments from people who are blind or maybe know somebody that's blind, and they tell me that my blog has helped them relate or understand what it's like to lose your vision and become legally blind. I also get a lot of comments just filled with love and support and encouragement, which I appreciate every word of it. This journey was very unexpected, as it is for everybody that becomes affected by LHON. But I hope to inspire, and I hope to set an example, a positive role model, not only for moms of affected, carriers who are moms, but anybody out there that is on this LHON journey. Because I am still learning every day, since I've only been affected or diagnosed affected for a few months, how to live this unexpected life. As a blind wife, mother of 2 great kids, fitness instructor, daughter, sister, friend, and that girl from Girl Gone Blind. Thank you. Our next speaker is Jessica Loomer. She's from Phoenix, Arizona. She's 28 years old, and she's been affected for about 1.5 years. Tell us your story, Jessica.
Good morning. So my LHON story is a little different than everybody else's. Mine started when I was a little girl, and I remember sitting in the doctor's office. My brother was diagnosed with LHON when he was 8, so he is now 27. So, I mean, same drill with him, but 25 years ago, it was way different. You know, it was test and test and test, and my brother's very quiet and shy. So we knew something was wrong with his vision, but wasn't quite sure what was going on. I mean, blood tests and everything else came back, and eventually they figured out he had LHON. So what we knew of LHON from him growing up was He watched TV he sat really close to the TV. He had everything blown up and had large print. We knew that he couldn't drive, and when we were on family vacations, we got to sit in really cool seats to see Shamu. So that was really all that we knew of LHON. My uncle, who actually at age 18, now 51, was also diagnosed with LHON. So we knew LHON in the family, and we could see the challenges that it had. So when I turned 27, I had the same thing, little dot in my left eye. Thought I had dry eye, so I got put on Restasis and all these things. Kind of had a little bit of the easy route because I had blood tests and things like that. But we were sitting at the retina doctor, and my mom's like, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, we have LHON in our family." And the guy goes, "Oh, that's it." And I'm like, "Wait a second." Because everything we knew of LHON 20 years ago was males could get it, and I knew I was a carrier, so I knew could carry the gene, but that's all that I knew. I never knew I could get it, and I was 20 years old. That wasn't like prime age. And he's like, "No, you have it." And I'm like, "No, I don't." So got the blood test, because at that point we had lost the paperwork 20 years later for my brothers, and it came back, and I was like, "Are you serious? Is this really gonna happen?" And at that point, it was only in one eye. So like Maria, I was like, "I got this," And I remember standing in the shower, and then you have a million bottles of shampoo and body wash and who knows what else. And I look at the shampoo bottle, cover up my right eye, and I'm like, "Yeah, I can't see it." Cover up my left eye, and I'm like, "Okay, I can see it. So if my vision stays, I'm fine." I remember thinking, if my vision in my left eye goes to my right, I'm never gonna make it, But I did, and you just keep carrying on. So I knew it was important for me to keep doing everything that I was doing yesterday that I have to do tomorrow. So I made sure that I kept every trip that I had planned with my girls, or going out to dinners and dates and everything like that. So it was a big hurdle for me to tell my employer, who I'd gotten the job about 6 months ago, was doing everything computer-based. I work in the mining industry, so I process every purchase order for the Western region and do everything on the back end, from entering the order to make sure it's completely processed, the alloy is correct, ship date's correct, purchase order, and we receive payment on millions of dollars. So I knew numbers were important, and I couldn't miss a number. So I sat down, talked to my boss, and I told him, "I want to tell you why I haven't been driving the past month." And he asked me if I got a DUI, and I was like, I didn't, kind of a bad impression. So I was like, I'm like, I wish that was what had happened, but no. And told him about my eye disease. And he is my biggest fan. Totally supportive, and I'm really lucky for that. Within 2 weeks, I had Zoom techs on 2 computers and a CCTV. So I was proud of myself that I never missed a day of work, and just kept going. It did help with huge support of family and friends, and we have to do a lot of paperwork, and by ISO standards, which is just a standard protocol we have within the mining industry, we have to keep everything filed for 7 years. So I had to come up with a completely new filing system to make sure that I could find that file again, go back, and be able to cross-reference it with multiple papers. So it was interesting. It was definitely a hurdle. It was definitely a learning curve of what works for me and what doesn't, and how can I be as efficient as I was a month ago as I am going to be tomorrow. And that was my biggest struggle, because I wanted to, I was doing great at my job. Everyone kind of came up and complimented me, and of course I want to be better than the last person. So I took hours to push myself and teach myself Zoom techs and different things like that. And then I knew it was important socially that I wanted to keep doing what I was doing. So I actually had a girls trip planned to San Francisco, which was obviously anybody with a new vision disability's worst nightmare, because we were walking in hills and curbs and sidewalks and who knows. So I just wanted to make sure that obviously a friend was telling me where curbs were and things like that. And I did it. And it was awesome, and it was fun, and I knew that that was what I had to do to keep stepping forward. was to keep doing everything that I had planned. So from there, that's actually where I got my story to start the blog Blind Girls Can Rock Heels. Because so many times people are like, well, if you can't see, why are you wearing heels? And I'm like, well, my legs aren't broken, so I can wear heels. And it's just something that I wanted. Blind Girls Can Rock Heels kind of stands for empowerment, that you can do whatever you want to do, you just have to be determined to do it. Whether it is finding the star on the elevator, yeah, that's hard. Wearing heels to work, or, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's simple things to big things. It doesn't matter what you want to do. You just have to kind of set your mind to it and take a deep breath before you do it and have a little bit of patience, especially with those around me. And that's been a little bit of my struggle, is to be patient, ask for help, and don't bite the person that's helping you's heads off. So just to be a little bit of patience. But so I wanted to make sure that I did share my story. I love that I can kind of tell the funny stories and the bad stories and the things that kind of say, like, I'm just going out on a ledge, and want to share that I went skydiving in December. Because why not, right? Like, that's kind of the point that I wanted to make with my Blind Girls Can Rock Heels. So it's been an interesting journey, and I try to just make sure that I can pass on some enthusiasm and some positive energy to those around me. And I was actually able to create a great relationship with the Arizona Center for the Blind. Met a girl there by the name of Angela, and super inspired by her. She is just not affected with any vision disability, but very empowering and very positive. She actually nominated me in the past 5 months ago to be on V-Rate, which is a board for visually impaired and blind technology board. So it's like a mini version of CSUN. So I actually serve on that board. We've been planning the November event for about 5 months now. And it's awesome to be on that board because there are so many people involved on the government side, state side, and private industry there to support anyone with a vision disability and that's blind. So it's so cool to be around people that are like, yes, we are here to help, and what can we do next? And I'm proud of myself as being the only person with a vision disability on the board from the public. So that's always interesting because they always ask my opinion of, does this work? What do you think about this? And how can we help, sort of thing. So this November 7th, I'll actually be speaking, and the keynote theme is Blind Girls Can Rock Heels. So it'll be awesome that I'm going to take kind of the stance of empowerment. Do whatever you want, make sure that you, rock it, sort of thing. So I'm excited to kind of see where that's going to turn out, and it's a 2-hour session, so any ideas are definitely welcome. So we'll have to see how that goes. But I'm excited to at least tell the story and inspire other people and get the word out, especially about LHON. Eye diseases, don't let a disability stop you. My family preached that to my brother when we were little, so we'd make sure we'd pass that on to myself and others. And now, 2 months ago, my aunt was just affected at age 63. And it's crazy to see it happen all over again to somebody else in the family. So at this point, there's 4 people within my family with LHON. It's interesting to see at her age, to teach her things that I learned a year ago: colors, clothing, hair, makeup, and those sort of things. And try to teach her my little tips and tricks, and like I put a rubber band around my shampoo. Little stuff to kind of go backwards. And it's hard to watch somebody else in your family go through it all over again and to have the same, like, how did this happen to me? I'm 63 years old. But it's also encouraging because I'm like, okay, I've signed you up for mobility. You start Tuesday. And so she's like, okay, like, what's next, sort of thing. So it's gonna be a hard journey for sure. But it's always hard in the beginning, but I think it's where you end up and what keeps you going. So I look forward to it, and I'm so excited to be here, especially to meet so many people that I've connected with over Facebook, and it's so awesome to put a name with a face and voice or anything like that. I don't think I could sleep last night because I was so excited. So thank you guys.
All right, as Lissa said, we have our afternoon panel, and as you can see, it's our women's panel. And We are going to basically do the same thing as this morning. These two lovely ladies are going to give us a little bit about their story of living with LHON. And our first speaker will be Lisa McGregor. She comes from Winnipeg, Canada, and she's been affected for just about 12 years. So go ahead and tell us your LHON story.
Thank you, Maria. Good afternoon, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Like Maria said, my name is Lisa McGregor, and I'm from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. And it is truly an honor to be asked to speak at this LHON conference in regards to my life's journey living with LHON. My journey, like Maria said, started just over 12 years ago. I was an active 34-year-old mother and wife, had only been married 5 years at the time, had a 2.5-year-old son, a 12-year-old stepson, a full-time career working at an insurance company in which I had been for just over 13 years at the time. Life as I knew it was pretty good, until one day I started to lose my vision. With the support and determination of an amazing neuro-ophthalmologist by the name of Dr. Janine Johnston from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, who performed every medical test possible, CT scans, MRIs, bone marrow, spinal taps, plasmapheresis, you name the test, I had it. Unfortunately, every test kept coming back normal. So why at 34 years old was I losing my vision? In the province of Manitoba, where I'm from, in order to complete DNA testing, it would have taken anywhere from a year to 2 years to receive a diagnosis. My doctor knew at that time I didn't have that long to wait. She then took it upon herself to send my blood work off for DNA testing to the eye institution in the state of California, here in the United States of America, for DNA testing. Within a week and a half, I had my diagnosis. It was confirmed. I had LHON, or in other words, I was declared legally blind. My life, my family's life, changed in the blink of an eye forever. However, my role as a mother and a wife remained the same. I still had an obligation and a commitment to my family to somehow, some way, continue on. And yes, there was many days and times I wanted to give up and let LHON win. But I knew for the sake of my children and my family, I could not and would not. 2 years after being diagnosed with LHON, my world changed once more. Sorry, let me revert back. Sorry. I didn't have the assistance from our blind institution where I'm from. In a lot of ways, they let me down. I had the support of my family and my friends. I didn't have the technical aids or the mobility training, the support systems, the counseling, the in-classroom training. I had to teach myself. I taught myself how to cook, how to clean, how to take care of a home, but more importantly, how to raise a young family and how to take care of myself with very little vision. It wasn't easy, but I managed. 2 years after being diagnosed, my world changed again. My youngest son, the love of my life, started kindergarten. And I was faced with a question of what on earth was I going to do with all my free time while he was at school. It was then I decided it was time to take care of myself. I started to work out and exercise on a regular basis. I walked the dog on my own each and every day. And yes, where I'm from, even through blizzard-like conditions. I needed to prove to myself more than anything that LHON did not win or steal all of my independence away. I then became even more involved in my son's life. I started to volunteer in his kindergarten class 1 to 2 days a week, which eventually turned into 3 to 4 or more. It proved to myself that I still had a purpose and a will to continue on. Somehow, some way, I did it. Following that year of volunteering in my son's kindergarten class, I was then asked by the school vice principal if I'd be willing to take on teaching an English program to kindergarten students whose first language was not English. I did, and it was extremely successful. It proved to myself, and I believe many others, that I still had a will and a purpose to go on. Following that, I decided to become even more involved in the school. In fact, to the point where I was at the school the majority of the time. Still keeping in mind my new full-time career position as a stay-at-home mom, those jobs, tasks, and duties were completed each and every day. I became very active in the school to the point of joining the Parents Association and becoming the president of the Parents Association for 3 years running. When I started with this committee, it had a total of 6 members holding chair positions and attending monthly meetings. In my 3rd and final year as the acting president, our committee had grown to a total of 22 members holding chair positions and attending monthly meetings. On average, our committee had anywhere from 22 to 30 members that would eventually attend all of our monthly meetings. That was a huge accomplishment to myself. In fact, we were also presented an award by the province of Manitoba for the most outstanding achievement completed by a parents' association in a school year. That proved to me that was an experience and memory that I will take for life. Reflecting back over the past 12 years and to today, I've always been very active in both of my boys' lives, attending each and every sporting event, all of the parent-teacher interviews, the school Christmas concerts, band concerts, you name it, and the list will go on. And yes, perhaps there once was a day that I could see all of this a lot clearer than I can today, but the most important goal and lesson I hope I'm teaching my children and my family and friends is that no matter what disability one has or obstacles or challenges that you're faced with, you can still go on. Sorry. There are still times, even after 12 years, of accepting and dealing and coping with this vision loss. That there are times I sit in those freezing cold hockey rinks, watching my son play hockey through my binoculars, that those tears of sorrow fall from my eyes, just knowing there once was a time that I could see my son clearly. But those tears of sorrow quickly turn into tears of happiness and joy, just knowing that I am still a part of my son's world and that he is the most important thing that I have in my life. I would like to take this opportunity at this time to just thank a few people that have helped me become who I am today. I would like to thank my husband and my children who could not be with me at this conference for their love and their support and continually pushing me and believing in me when I did not believe in myself. I would not be where I am or who I am today without that. Secondly, I would like to thank my mom, who is here at the conference with me today, and my stepdad, who is back home, for their unconditional love and support and never-ending assistance towards my family throughout this LHON journey. And I would also like to recognize my father and my stepmother for seeking out technical aids at the start of my vision loss. And last but certainly not least, I believe a person that should be strongly recognized here today is Lissa, for all that she has done for this LHON organization and community, and all that she continues to do. This past year, being involved with the LHON organization has shown me that the past 12 years, I really have not been alone, and that there are others out there, just like me, that truly do get this whole vision loss. My motto in life since I lost my vision still remains the same, and that is, do not ever take those little things in life for granted, because we never know what tomorrow will bring. I, as well as many others affected by LHON, are living proof of that statement. Stay strong and be positive, because somehow life does go on. Thank you.
Wow, that was amazing. I'm sitting here just mesmerized. Anyway, thank you, Lisa. That was wonderful, and I couldn't agree with more with everything as being a mom myself. Our next speaker is Candace Haney, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you've been affected for about 3.5 years? Mm-hmm. All right, and she is local. She is from, and I don't have the town name again. Say again. Leesburg, there it is, Virginia, so it's not too far from here. So I'm going to turn the mic over to Candace.
Hi, I am Candace Haney, and I am 41, and my LHON story starts about 10 years ago when I had 4 children, 2 sets of twins, and at the time they were 10 and 1. So they're 10-year-old boys and 1-year-old boy and a girl. And so my hands were very, very full at the time. So one day, my son, we were getting ready to go to, after school, we're getting ready to go to a Christmas party, and we said, get your homework done so we can leave. And he says, I can't see it. And we still would understand why, you're 10, and it's, usually you do it really well, and let's just go. So he says, I can't see it, and that's when we kind of knew something was a little off. But, there's twins, and there's 4 of them, and just have so much going on all the time, it's hard to slow down for, a little thing here and there. So we took him to a pediatric ophthalmologist, and if you know anything about 10-year-old twin boys, they are each other's sparring partners. And he goes in with a tiny bruise under his eye, and the doctor looked at me and said, well, how are things at home? And I said, oh, I get where you're going. Boys, go ahead, this is on you. So they had to explain that they got into, they were wrestling, and one gets a bruise, and this is the one who now has vision loss. So the doctor says, well, it should clear up in about 2 weeks. So we wait the 2 weeks, and it's still the same. So we go to another ophthalmologist, and he says, there's something going on. I don't know what it is. You're probably going to have spinal taps and the MRIs, and you're probably going to have to go to UCLA, and that's where you'll be diagnosed. Well, he was right. We did not have the spinal taps, but we did have an MRI, and we took him to to a neuro-ophthalmologist who watched him from the other side of the room for about an hour and a half, and he told us he was faking. So then our next step was to go to UCLA, and where they actually did a blood test on the 10-year-old twins, and it came back with LHON. And that's when we were finally able to deal with what now. So what now was Braille in school for him. We had a wonderful Braille teacher, and cane travel and O&M, and we then continued on our lives like every other family. And just because he's now legally blind doesn't stop us or him. He still does everything else that we do. So fast forward to 2011, and my daughter and I, at the same time, around August of 2011, she starts complaining that she is having some eye issues, and that she needs to go see an eye doctor. So we make the appointment for her, and then at the same time, I'm saying, I think I'm ready for some age-related glasses, because it happens when you turn around 37, right? So, and it never, ever crossed my mind at all that it would be LHON for us, because LHON doesn't affect women, we're told, and because we're treating our son like he's, just another, like his normal's our normal. There's not much to do, so we didn't do any real more research. And so it never crossed our minds that we're now looking at being affected. So we take her, and by family says, she's got some LHON. It's LHON that is affecting her, and she has some minor vision loss. And then mine, as we're taking her to the doctors, is getting worse. And I am severely, I have some light perception, and that's about it. So mine went from basically, like, I think I could tell there was some little grainy going on in mine, to the end of October, basically Halloween is where I ended up, and that's how I am now. So our lives changed drastically then, when now we have 3 people in our house out of 6 who have vision loss, and it goes from severe to me to medium in my son, who now is 19, and pretty mild in my daughter, who is now 10. I'm in the process of getting training. I'm learning Braille. I'm completely dependent on my cane. I get around. I take the kids places. I do grocery shopping. I shop online. I get the groceries delivered. We walked a swim team practice every day last summer. That's about 3/4 of a mile from our house. That's probably about a mile now from our house. Cook. laundry, do everything. I had a hard time at first with the role that, you know, I because it was so severe, getting around was hard. Outside of the house, I used my cane all the time, but inside my house, it was still trying to get used to. But I'm in a different place now where, you know, I do believe that there are definitely things that could have happened much worse than what happened, and it's not the end of the world, and, you know, I'm doing okay. And I don't, that's about it.
Thank you, Candace. I just, you know, Candace, I'm just going to say this now. Candace was the first mom that I spoke to after I was affected. It was only a couple months, and I put out on Facebook, help. I need to talk to a woman who gets it, who's a mom, the whole thing. Boom, she right away, she messaged me and said, you call me, and gave me her number, and I did. And I think I talked nonstop straight for 45 minutes. You know, just like, and she's like, I get it. And I tell you, I'll never forget that phone call, because that is what this support in this community is all about. And it's finding other people that you know you can call, pick up the phone and talk to. Lisa and I talk quite a bit too from Canada, and it's those good days, bad days, or those hard mom days, or we give each other ideas. Like Candace said, you know, her kids want to go for ice cream. She called up Uber and took her kids for ice cream in Uber and back, and it was $7. I'm like, best $7 ever. Absolutely. You know, I mean, awesome, right? So she found a way to get around that. So anyway, I want to open up the floor for any more questions for any of us ladies, including myself, since I'm a woman too. So I'm up here, and if you don't know, I was diagnosed at the age of 49. So, you know, talking about late onset, you know, I'm right there. So does anybody have any questions for the ladies?
Obviously, there wasn't any environmental triggers like smoking and drinking in the children. So what do you think there was? Because I don't really believe in that environmental factor.
Candace. I had a tetanus shot about 2 months before, and I really strongly think that had something to do with mine. I don't know for my 10-year-old son, because we had moved into a new house. Well, it was a year before. We'd been in a house. Oh, wait, no. Yeah, it was a year. And nothing out of the ordinary. And my daughter, having her affected at the same time as me, was quite bizarre. I think I'm not sure. And I just really think that something had to do with my tetanus shot. I felt.
Anybody else?
So it seems sometimes when women present to the doctor with medical concerns, they're kind of brushed under the table, told it's all in their head, you know, don't worry about it. I was just wondering if you had any experiences where you kind of weren't believed the first time, and how you kind of coped with that and advocated for you or your family.
I'll start with that.
I'll start? Or do you want me to start?
You can start.
I'll start. Probably the wrong question to ask me, but yeah, I was first, when I thought there was vision loss, it was all in my head because every test kept coming back normal. So why was this happening then, right? Then it was MS and you name it. There wasn't really anything, there wasn't any proof because women didn't fit into the category. I wasn't male and I wasn't French Canadian. I fell into the age category at that time. I'm the first LHON patient of my neuro-ophthalmologist where I'm from. There's now 6 other people from where I'm from that do have it. Our genetics department where I'm from, I have to say, no disrespect to genetic testing, were awful to me. You know, when I was confronted about wanting to know if my son had the gene, because I didn't know anything about it, I said, of course I want to know. Have I passed this on to my son? And when I found out I did, of course, like any natural human being, mother, my first reaction was to cry. And how do I fix this? How do I make it better for him? Well, I can't, right, as we all know. And the genetic counselor or medical testing, they were awful towards me. They basically told me I was an awful mother to even think thoughts like that. You know, I sat in that medical room with my husband crying. And I was sort of pushed off, but 2 days later, I did receive a call from the genetics department apologizing. And she said, I have a son around your age, and I'm a mom. I get why you're upset. So as far as that, yeah, I think it was sort of pushed aside because where I'm from, it was something that was new. But maybe it's different in other states or countries, I'm not sure.
I just think mine was so severe and so sudden, I mean, over a couple of months. I at first thought to myself that, it was just the eyeglass time, but no, they had to take me seriously. I couldn't, I was bound to an elbow, basically, which I didn't even understand, but no, not in my head. And as far as coping, that's a whole other area that it took a while. My safe couch was there for me for a while, and then until I, kind of grieved quite a bit. Grieved as a mom whose daughter lost vision, grieved as a mom whose son lost vision 10 years before, and finally understood what some of it felt like. And losing, I felt like I lost my role as a mom and a wife and a woman. And so getting all that back as fast as I could meant a lot to me. And, of course, I had a great family. But we weren't close at the time geographically. In fact, we weren't close geographically to any of our extended family, but, I had a great husband who, sat with me and, just said, I can't believe this is happening to you and us. And that's really a big deal. It helped a lot just to hear that, and then it helped a lot for me to be able to relate to other women who have gone through vision loss and other moms who, could run their ship. And, it's like even every time I would talk to, Maria or other women like Maria or anybody that I could relate to really, really helped to put everything back into perspective.
When I was coming, affected onset, went through all the usual, everyone's same story as me. And we got to a neuro-ophthalmologist, and he tested me for everything under the sun. And he goes, I'm going to throw in this other test. You don't have it, but I'm going to throw it in anyway. So we know what test that was. But he thought, well, just maybe. At least he was willing and he knew about it. So every test came back, and we're waiting for the LHON test, and then that came back positive. And he was just as shocked as, of course, I was, that actually I was, infected because of the usual mold, which is the younger males. So, but he's an awesome doctor, and he, absolutely has wonderful chairside manner, and he helped me through it a lot in that first year. So anyway, any other questions?
Yes. I'm sorry I didn't ask this of the male panels in the morning, but frankly, it's the kind of question would never occur to you until you've heard both. I'd be interested in your observations on the difference in the personal psychology or their personal experience of going through this, you as females as opposed to males.
Not sure. I can't answer that.
Wow, that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
That's a loaded question. I'll kick it off by saying, being diagnosed as an older female, and especially if you have a family, and all of a sudden the mom of the house is now legally blind, and like the others, we are carrying the role of taking care of the kids and running around to school and doing all those extra things and doctor's appointments and groceries and all that kind of stuff, and boom, that comes to a screaming halt, and you're devastated. You're absolutely devastated. That you question yourself, how could I be a good mom? How am I going to do this? And it's a very slow process to get out of. And well as, I've passed it to my kids, that kind of thing too. But it's a slow process to get through back into the world of, I think I can be a good mom. I think I can do this. I think I can do this. So I'm speaking for myself. It's psychologically very difficult because we're playing so many roles, I think. And just even to be, our own self, let alone be there for our families, too. Candace, what would you say?
I think I agree. Yeah, go ahead.
I think a woman, a female having this and a male having it, or the roles, or it affects them very differently. I think that I'm going to sound really vain, and I'm not a vain person, so I'm really not. But a young man between ages of 15 and 35, okay, he doesn't want to look in a mirror as many times as a female does. I want to be able to see if the gray hair is coming through, and I want to be able to see what color lipstick I'm putting on, and how much blush I'm putting on, and you guys don't. I want to wrap the Christmas presents and see that what color Christmas paper I have, and see that that lines up. I don't know if guys worry about what color tissue paper they put in the presents and things like that, but it's I'm not sure guys cook as much as I used to love to cook. So I just think there's so many different little things that women, that are part of women's life, that that aren't a part of men's life. And like I said, without sounding vain, that people don't think about it. It's just little things like that that frustrate me personally, that maybe don't frustrate men in the same way.
So I want to comment on that. So I agree with all those, the makeup, and I do my own makeup, and I mascara, and I'm not going to go into everything I do, but, hot rollers in the hair still, and I have great friends who say, we go shopping together because we would go shopping anyway, and cooking, well now, I did most of the cooking. I did all the cooking before because that was my break from the 4 kids, and my husband was great with, he took the, then he was, kid time with him, and so now we cook more together, but, I still do the majority, the meal planning and stuff, but, and, Christmas wrapping, I wrap some, but it's different. It's not quite the same, but, the normal for me has changed, and I've adjusted pretty well to my new normal, and as far as the males, I would think that they struggle about different actual family caretaking as far as if they're the ones. I was a stay-at-home mom when I lost my vision, and they're the ones out working, and if they were 35, I know there was a few that had the small children and under 35, and they the financial part of it has to be overwhelmingly stressful, losing the vision and not knowing if they were able to keep their job or how they could, and something that I luckily at the time didn't have to worry about. Yeah.
And it seems like there's something every day, every other day, and I just feel that with vision loss, especially unexpected vision loss, that you're going to be adjusting pretty much the rest of your life. You're going to be adjusting because different things will come up daily or weekly or whatever it is that you have to make an adjustment for. And there are things that you don't even think about, wrapping gifts, things like that, looking in a mirror. Those days are over. Matthew, do whatever you want. And, it's just over. And I tell the gal who does my hair, I go, make me look good because I'll tell everyone, but make me look bad, and I'm still going to tell everyone. So, we rely a lot on our friends. And, and again, as mothers, kind of a different role when we got affected. We were in a different place in our life, more so than the younger males. And so it's a totally different world.
Question in the back in about 2 or 3 more minutes.
Okay. Question to the back.
So I just have a quick question. Based on the fact that you were affected so quickly, do you look back now on any family hereditary situations where anyone else in your family's had it?
No, so when my son lost his vision, we just said, oh, no, we're that family that nobody else has been affected. And when I lost my vision, my sister joined Ancestry.com and found, through that and Facebook, really did an amazing job finding other family members, like my mother's, sisters, daughters, sisters, and down there we have found several in the family now. None that we would have ever had any association with because they were just so far removed, but.
As far as myself, just recently found out in the last few years that my mom's brother, my uncle, apparently when he was young, lost his vision, but they didn't know why. And of course, this is 80 some odd years ago, so there's probably no research regarding LHON. Well, I know there wasn't. But he did regain all of his sight back. So whether or not it had to do with that, who knows? As far as anybody else being affected, I'm the only one. And I thought at first I was the only token Canadian coming, but I have some other token Canadian friends back there, so I'm glad.
And as far as my family, we don't know of anybody else in the family. I was the first one to show the effect. So, but it's a good thing because now our families do know, and now they can, protect themselves the best they can as well. So I want to thank our women panel here, Candace and Lisa. Thank you so much for coming up here.